Hey everyone, Dave Markowitz here, part of the Markowitz Group. Today I'm going to get into the real estate market report for June of 2022. I know there's been a lot of talk on the streets regarding recession, housing market crash, interest rates skyrocketing. So I'm going to get into all the data today, and you guys can kind of dissect all the real hard numbers and make decisions for yourself of where we are going. But I'm here to give you all the real data. All right, guys, let's get into it. Okay, guys, Dave Markowitz here. And again, I just wanted to go over this market report, what we are seeing in terms of where we think the market is heading at this point. It is June 2022. I know many of you have been asking a lot of questions. Are we seeing changes? We are starting to see some changes, yes, but also I want to give you data in terms of, what is happening in terms of the interest rates as they're going up, as well as, there's a lot of talk about recession. So, we've seen in the past that we've had recessions, and a recession does not mean that we're going into a housing crash. So let's dive in here, give you some hard numbers, give you data, and you guys can kind of see where we're headed and how to make your best, decisions as you're moving forward in either buying or selling at this point. So let's move into this next slide here. And so mortgage rates are likely to plateau near current levels. The financial markets have attempted to price in the impact of Fed actions over this cycle, and they're likely also pricing in the economic slowdown that will result. So basically what that means is they're baking in these rates that they're expecting, and that's how they're overseeing what they think the market's going to be looking at coming forward. So it says, once we are past this rate spike and associated volatility, MBA, which is the Mortgage Bankers Association, expects that potential home buyers may be more willing to re-enter the market. So basically what I'm seeing from this particular slide is people are kind of like taking a step back for a second. They want to kind of reevaluate. And again, it goes back to, we're seeing interest rates rise. That means we're going to take a step back. But if you look at the whole picture, guys, and the further data I'm going to show you at this point, you're going to see that, as you look at the data, you're going to want to kind of, take it in as a whole at this point. So let's move on to this next slide, and let's talk about mortgage rates. So if you noticed right here at the beginning of the year, we were in the low threes, and right now we just started breaking, past the 5 level, and that's on a fixed rate, Freddie Mac. And so you see mortgage rates have gone up quite a bit since the beginning of the year. So let's move forward. You see how that arrow is just, gone up. And then right now we're kind of seeing it plateau a little bit. So that's actually a good sign. It seems like, people are kind of, catching their breath, watching the market. And, we are expecting rates to go up, but right now we're seeing a little bit of a plateau. So let's keep moving now. People are starting saying, okay, we're seeing interest rises and they're going to wait. So I'm going to wait till prices come down. People are saying, is now a good time to buy? Is the market going to crash? So these are typically things that people say when we have an increase in mortgage rates. They kind of, start getting jittery. So let's kind of look at where the mortgage rates were compared to the last 5 decades. And as you can see right now, we're a little bit over the 5s. But I have to say we were spoiled in the in the 2000s, where and specifically over the last 5 years, where we saw rates drop down to the high 2s and low 3s, and that is basically not the way the market has been over the last multiple of years, as you can see in this graph. So I'm looking at in the 2000s we were in the 6s, and even in the 90s we were in the 8s. So as Brian Buffini would like to say, even in the 5s and 6s, guys, this is a party. And you have to kind of look at the big picture of where we were at before. So yes, we got spoiled on the low rates, but if you look in the 80s, you were in the 12s. So You got to kind of look at everything in the big picture. So let's move on. What kind of the experts say here. So experts don't believe the market is in a housing bubble or crash is in the cards at this point. Like during Great Recession, the nation is still suffering from a housing shortage that has reached crisis proportions at any time when market millennials are reaching the age when they start to consider home ownership. And that's likely to keep home prices high. Okay. Again, headlines do more to terrify than clarify. So if you guys are, watching all the news, watching, cable news, TV, newspapers, it's all the scare tactics. And you really have to kind of, again, take a step back and look at what the actual data is from history. Recession does not equal a housing crisis, guys. Okay, so let's move on. And what is an actual recession? According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, they would define a recession as a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months. So normally visible in the real GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. So that's what they, as a definition of what is recession. So I just want to show you here over the last 6 recessions, we've only had 2 downfalls in the housing market. This is crucial. This is really something that speaks volumes of, just because we're heading into a recession does not mean a housing crisis. Now, 2008 is really the anomaly here because we all know what happened in 2008. There was a lot of factors that went into 2008 too. The lending standards were very, very easy. They were giving mortgages to everybody back in 2008. And what was happening was people were getting in these homes, the prices started appreciating, and then people started doing HELOCs. And HELOC is where they take their equity out of their house. They started using their homes as, piggy banks. And what was happening was they started pulling out all the equity, and then the crash came and they could not sell. They were underwater at this point. So, the market started flooding with houses, upside down. That is not where we're at today. We are at where there's so much equity in homes across the country that some buyers up to about 50% of home equity, the equity in homes are much higher than they were in the past. So you can see that, during recessions, the market has actually gone up. In the 80s, it's gone up. You see in 2001, it's gone up in 2020. So again, just because we're in a recession or heading into a recession does not mean we're having a housing crisis, okay? Here we go back to the mortgage standards. So you can see back in 2008 and before, they were giving mortgages to everybody at this point. So lenders are much more, or at this point, much more cautious. They're not just, you really have to show W-2s. You have to show that you have money in the bank. You have to show many, many things. And it's not like it was as in the past. Okay. The housing market is at a turning point. We're starting to see signs of new direction. Yes, the ball is still in a seller's market. Market's court in most housing markets. Again, that's going to go back to supply and demand. We are seeing the shift, but because the inventory levels are so low still, it's still a seller's market. Now, we are sitting at about a 2-month supply of inventory. In a healthy market, we should be at 6 months. So even at a 2-month supply, it is still a seller's market. So as you can see here, the existing home sales in April 2022, you see it's gone down a little bit here. Well, what's happening is we're coming out of COVID and we're coming into a more, realistic market. You can see in 2017, 2018, pre-COVID, these were the normal numbers. So now we're just really coming back into more of a normalized real estate market, which is really more healthy for everybody. Pre-pandemic sales, as you can see here where the line was. And then what we're expecting, total home sales compared to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, National Association of Realtors, they're showing in millions. These are the total home sales forecasts. So bottom line, guys, if you are looking to buy a home, I would still recommend you do so even at a higher interest rate, because it says, as we say here with Realtor Shivani Peterson, who's a mortgage expert, we have no reason to believe that home prices will stop appreciating. Home values going up is only a problem when you're trying to buy. When you own, it's a gift. So guys, again, this is just about giving you data. seeing where we're moving into the market. And again, thank you for taking the time and listening and seeing the numbers, the hard numbers. And if there's anything I can do to help you guys, I'm here. I'm Dave Markowitz with the Markowitz Group, representing clients in California. I'm licensed in California as well as Tennessee. So if you're looking to move from California to Tennessee, I can help you, and vice versa. So my group is licensed in both states, and we are here to answer any of your questions. And again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time today. Numbers are important. Data is important. And you guys really have to understand what we're doing and seeing with the market at this point. So again, thanks so much for watching. And you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye now.